Hey, how's it going? And welcome to another project. This is the resume project. And in this project, we're actually going to include, well, your resume. So although this project looks extremely simple, because this is it, this is the entire web page, one slide here, okay? Although this looks extremely simple, this is actually it. There's nothing more to it. Of course, there's more to it. So, for example, we got our Joe man here, a beautiful guy. He's a web developer, just a developer. He has a couple of social icons down here. And now to the right side, we got our about section with a bit of text. It also, everything has a text shadow here. We're just going to include 7 lines of CSS and that's all. Also, we're going to have here the CV. If we click on this one, then we're going to have an off canvas. As you can see, we're also going to have here a couple of animations. So we're going to have our name, what we do, about us, some lorem ipsum, career objectives, some lies here. These are not lies, they're actually your career objectives. Then your skills, troubleshooting, so far and so on. And this one, because it's, oh yeah, and still growing. So skills, still growing. This is why I made this animated. I think this is a pretty cool effect. And as soon as it's done, so we're a developer, full-fledged developer, we'll fall with our skill, okay? You can also add here labels for 100% and so far and so on, but I consider them, well, what do you mean troubleshooting 90%? What does it even mean? Okay, so let's leave this place. Let's go down to my services. Again, our services gonna have here a bit of shadow, a hover effect on our boxes. Okay, so each of our services, we are going to go now into development, and let's see if we read more. Well, what is web development? Yada yada yada. What is front-end web development? We're going to have a couple of icons here. What is back-end development, and so forth and so on. Okay, now if we go to SEO, the same thing. Gonna explain SEO. What can SEO do for us, and what kind of services we provide for SEO. Now, remember, if we click on X button, we can close it. If we also click on Escape, we can close it. If we click someone else on the screen, we can also close it. Okay, this is our database. Again, what is database? Database management systems. What kind of database types are out there? It's going to create a couple of lists here. And then the last one is data security. Now this one is going to have a couple of drop downs. Boom, boom, boom. Categories 1, 2, 3, 4. You can include more if you wish, and you can close them up individually. Okay. So down here we're going to have a contact section, basic contact section. So if someone wants to get in contact with you, they're just going to call you or send something to your address, or call you on your big old telephone if you still have something like that, or email you. Down here we're going to have our copyright sign, and of course all of this is responsive. Now you can see there's no navigation on this website until, please take a look at the left side of the screen. So as soon as we're going to hit a smaller screen, there we go, boom, there's our navigation. Actually, let me make this so. Okay, now this only appears on a small screen. As soon as we leave small screen, it's going to disappear. So I think this is pretty nifty. We don't need the navigation because, let's be honest, we have everything in here. As soon as we leave this, and we just want to have our face, so this is going to be a landing page, for example, on a tablet or on a mobile device, then we're going to have this. Now, this navigation is also going to have a couple of tooltips. It's going to tell us we're on home. We can go to about, we can go to services, we can go to context. So let's go to about, which is, well, just here. Obviously, you can populate this with much more information. And also the canvas is going to look like this on a responsive section, on a responsive device. Okay, so again, we have everything in here. You can still collapse them and put them back again. So yeah, pretty nifty project. Although it looks simple, it really has some nifty effects in there. Okay, so hope you're excited. Let's get started with our project. So see you in the next video where we're going to set everything up. Alright, now in this video we're going to set everything up that we need for our project. Now I hope you have Visual Studio Code opened, or whatever code editor you use. Now within our sandbox, I just created the next section, so the next project, which is, why didn't I call it project? Wait just a second. project and resume website theme. Okay, now within here we're going to create our index.html. Let's start with the boilerplate. I'm going to go a bit quicker. Okay, so I think you already know this stuff from our previous projects. Now let's go to Bootstrap. As you know what, I'm going to copy what we had in our previous project. So everything that we had in our head, you just copy the entire head. Boom, go back in here and replace it. Okay, so we have our Bootstrap, our CDN, our linked CDN, and our style sheet linked up. Okay, now I'm going to change this to resume website, and now let's go into our body. Let's also include our JavaScript. And again, I'm going to go to the previous project, go down to script, and we're going to use tooltips and the Bootstrap CDN. So I'm just going to copy both of them. So right at the end. Okay, I'm going to close these two up. We don't need them. Okay, now we are going to comment everything out that we need for our project. So we're going to first of all need a navigation, again using caps lock. So we're going to have our navigation section. Then we're going to have our header. After our header, we're going to have our main section, and the main section is actually going to include a couple of things. First of all, in the main, we're going to include our about. And I'm going to copy this because we're also going to include our services. So about and services. Okay. Now our about section, so I'm going to go into our about. It's also going to include a couple of things. So about is going to include the CV button and then the CV content. Actually, CV button and content could just write them right after another in content. And that's it for the about section. Now the services section is also going to have a couple of subsections. So let me just copy this. This will be services, and then we're going to include a couple of off canvases. So we're going to include the development of canvas. I'm just going to start copying this because then we're going to have all four of them in here. We're going to have our services, our SEO, our database, and then last but not least, our data security. So data security. Okay. Then we're going to have another section, which is going to be this our main section. Let me no, I'm going to leave it this way. Then we're going to have a contact, and the very last section is of course the footer. And this time they're separate, not like we did it in our previous video. Okay, I think that's it. So we have our hands full. We have a couple of things to do. I think we could get started. So see you in the next video. Do I have everything? Yeah, I believe I do. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye. In this video, we're going to start our web page by first of all creating our navigation. So let me close this part up. Before our navigation, we need to do something to our body first of all. So everything that is going to be in our body is actually going to be placed in two rows. So this is a row and this is a row, and then this in here is a row within our services section. So first of all, we need our body to be spliced up into two rows. For this, we're just going to give the class of row, and then we're going to navigate through the columns and so forth and so on. Now, the background of the web page, as you saw, is dark. The text of the web page is light, and we need to position our body relative because we will position a couple of things absolute in it. So relative. Now, I want the body to have 100%, so the width is going to be 100%, and also is going to be 100 viewport heights because we are not going to have anything else excepting this here. So the entire page is going to be 100 viewport heights. Okay, now the last thing that I need to do is create a CSS file, because within our CSS file, new file, style.css. Within here, I'm going to create two classes. First of all, actually one class, the text shadow, and as always, just going to create a text shadow attribute here. Text shadow, there we go. It's going to be 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 2 pixels, and an RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and 0.5 for the alpha. And after this, I'm just going to include here something. So for the class of card, when I'm hovering over it, then I want the cursor to be pointer, the box shadow to be 0 pixels. So this is only when I'm hovering over it, okay? So I can't just give the card a class of shadow because this will not do what it's meant to do. Okay, 15 pixels, 10 pixels, and a hash of 333. Okay, and let's also give it a transition all of 0.3 seconds and ease. Okay, so that's basically it. We are done with our CSS. We can actually close it up. We can close up the left part, and now let's get started with our navigation. Now, as always, oh wait, I need to include the text shadow into our body. So everything, each and every text that's going to be typed in our body is going to have a text shadow. If we take this out, well, then we won't have a text shadow. So let's go down here in the navigation, and as always, going to create a nav tag. First of all, nav tag, then a class of nav bar, then nav bar and dark, and then bg, so background of dark. For the navigation bar, the navigation bar is going to have 100 viewport heights. It's going to be in a column system of 1, and also is going to be displayed only after a medium size display. So we're going to display medium size as none. Okay, let's hit save, and let's also give it a style attribute with a width of 80 pixels. Okay, now we won't see anything. Let's also open up our project. What are we doing? So open up a project. There's a project, completely dark website, and navigation should be on the left side, but it is displayed as none until we're going to reach a certain point. So let's go back to our navigation, and within our nav tags, let's continue on creating our navigation. First of all, I'm going to place everything in a container class. Within here, I'm going to create just a div. This is not going to do anything excepting then it's going to host this, our UL, which is the nav bar nav. So let's give this the class of nav bar and dash nav. Also, I want to give our nav bar on both left and right, so on the x-axis, a margin of auto. Then I want to give it a margin for the bottom of 2, a margin bottom only in an LG of 0, and a font size of 4. Now let's hit enter, and let's go to our finished project. I'm going to explain what I just did. So basically here, you can see the icons are aligned in the center. That's why the margin auto is displayed. The font size is 4 because when we're going to style our icons, I don't want to increase each and every font size of this icon. So this was automatically 4. Margin bottom 2, because we don't want to intersect with the next section later on. And then we have our margin bottom LG0. As soon as we leave that section in a larger screen size, then it's going to be 0. Okay, now within our UL, we need to create our list item. So I'm going to create one list item. Let me also start off with a parenthesis. So list item is going to have the class of nav-item. Then it's going to include an anchor tag with the class of nav link. The first one is going to be active. and the nav link. So the anchor tag is going to include then an icon of Bootstrap icons. So icon tag with the class of Bootstrap icon, BI, and let's just do a home and also a text of success. Okay, that's basically it, because I'm going to copy this multiple times. So I need to get rid of the parentheses. I don't want to multiply this right now because I'm still missing the attributes. So I'm going to create this entire link item, and after that I'm going to copy it. Now let's first of all go back to our LI, because it's still missing a couple of things. As you saw in a finished project, we're having this tooltip, so it's going to indicate whatever this icon means. We don't have any text, we only have the icons, and when we hover over them, well, the text is indicated. And for this we're using tooltips. That is why I included here, they're not JavaScript, and we see the tooltips script. Okay, so let's go back up here in our navigation, and let's start out by adding the tooltips to each link item or each nav item. So data, Bootstrap, toggle, and it's going to toggle a tooltip. Then we want to place our tooltip, so data, BS, and placement, and it's going to be to the right. And the first one is going to have a title of home. Now obviously we're going to change this, and that's it for the LI. Now let's go back in our here we're going to just hit it as a reset, because we don't want anything to happen here. And that's it for this one. Next up, let's copy this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. The next icon tag is going to have everything the same, excepting this is going to be about, and also is going to go to the about ID. So hitting here with our href, we're going to copy in our about. Now for the icon tag, now this is not active, I'm just going to take out the active class. So in our about section, the icon is going to be a person. So let's see, this is ours. Yay, there's our about. But where's the home? Why isn't the home showing? Home, PI. Oh, that's not home, it's house. Sorry about that. So there we go. There's a house, there's a home. And I also need to set, so let's go back to our anchor tag, because you're forgetting the area current attribute. Not the class, the attribute. Boom. So area and current. And I'm going to set this to page. Now as soon as we do this, you will see, okay, so we have our current set up. Now let's go back to our about section. We have here the person. So this is showing now. Okay, we can close this one up. Now we can move on to the next one, which is going to be services. For the href, I'm going to type in here or copy in the services. And actually I'm going to remove the text of success from the rest of the icons. Okay, so only home will be green. Okay, services is in here. We need to change the icon. So instead of home, we're going to have a briefcase. And last but not least, contact. Let's also copy it in as a ID, and we're going to change this to telephone. Okay, so basically this should be it. And there's a navigation. And also if we leave our LG or medium-sized screen, then it's going to disappear. So actually I'm going to leave it this way because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. See you in the next one. Okay, in this video we're going to create the header section of the page, which is just going to be this handsome fellow right here with his name, what he is, developer, and 4 icons. Okay, so let's jump into it. So let's close up our navigation. We don't need it anymore. Let's go in underneath our header. And let's get started by creating a header tag. So header. And of course, we're going to implement here a couple of classes. So this is going to be positioned relative. It's going to be a view. It's going to have a viewport height of 100. So it's going to occupy the entire body space. It's going to be on a width of, now remember we have our body set to rows, so now we need to use columns. Now this is going to be a column 10, but on a MD or after MD size is going to be column 4. So let's hit enter, and we're not done yet. I also need to include the photo. So we're going to create a style property. We're going to set the background as a URL, and of course we're going to insert here a photo from Unsplashed again. So we're going to set our photo. Let's see if this worked. There's our beautiful guy down there, and now let's center him. So center for cover, and of course no repeat. And as soon as we do this, there he is, right in the center of the page. Okay, next up, let's do this right here. So the title is name, what it is, and the icons. And for this, we're going to go into our header tag, and let's create a div with a position relative again. Relative. We're going to push it from the top down 50%. We are also going to give it a margin from the top of 5. We're going to set this to a row because we want to set a couple of things as columns within it. But we're also going to apply a row calls 1. And let's add a text center for the text. So the entire container here, center, is going to place each and every text in the center of the page. Okay, now for the title, we're going to use an H2 with a display of 1, and then we're going to use a font width of bolder. Okay, now also I'm going to increase the line height, so LH to LG, and I'm going to type in here Joe Man, hit enter, and we should get his name. There we go. Okay, and you can also see it has a shadow effect, so this is why the text is popping out. Without this, it would be just pale, and believe me, you wouldn't see it it wouldn't look that great. So let's go underneath, go back to our editor. Underneath our H2, we're going to use the H4, the class of font monospace again. I really like this monospace. Now let's type in here developer. You can also type in web developer, whatever you wish, web developer or designer. Just going to use developer. Now next up, we're going to use a container for our social media. So let's do a class of row, then a margin from the top of 3. I want to push to have a margin from this top, so from the developer of 3, and then let's set the margins left and right, so the x-axis to auto. Okay, now within here we're going to create a UL, which is going to be again a row. It's going to have a list unstyled class. We don't want any unstyled. Okay, and FS5. So I'm going to increase the font size of the icons that I'm going to place in here. And let me show you something nifty, so I can start including here a parenthesis of li with a class of call. Then this one is going to include a anchor tag with no class, but it's going to include then a icon tag with a class of bi. So bootstrap icon, let's do the first one, Facebook, and text light. Okay, now let's go outside of it. Let's multiply it with 4, and boom, there we go. So we got 4 Facebooks. We can now change them to GitHub, then LinkedIn, Obviously, you can type in whatever you want. And then the globe for the website. So globe. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so you can see Emmet is extremely powerful. Again, I have a complete course on responsive web development, and I actually have that on Visual Studio Code. Is where I'm explaining Emmet really deeply, all of the properties, all of the cool and nifty shortcuts that you can create. So this being done, we're done with the header. This is quick, wasn't it? So let's take a look at this fellow. Yo, there he is. As soon as we reach then again a mobile display, then the navigation appears. Okay, so pretty cool. And with this is also the video done. So see you in the next one. Bye bye. In this video we're going to create the main section, and I'm just going to prepare the future section, so the about section, the services, and the contact section. So let's go to our website and then let's go back to the code editor. Let's also close up the header because we're basically done with it. And now down here in the main, I'm going to create a main tag. This is going to have a class of row, then call 12, because it's going to spread out. Actually, only this one is going to spread out to all of the 12 columns, and then a call MD of 8. Okay, and this plays together with our header. Now I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to copy in, accepting the footer, all of these sections. So cut them out and place them in there. So let's go to the about, so main, and it's then going to include our about section. And within here, I'm going to create a section tag. This is going to have the ID of about, and then a class of ms and free. But you know what? I'm actually going to multiply this times 3. Oh wait, no, I also want to include something in here. I actually want to include, before I multiply this, a h2, because all of the free sections, so the about, services, and contact, we're going to have a title, as you saw. Now this h2 is going to be a font monospace again, monospace, and then it's also going to have a margin from the top of 4 and some text, but I'm not going to include the text right now. So let's multiply this times 3, and there we go. We have 3. No, this is wrong, because I should multiply everything times 3. Sorry about that. So I just selected it and pressed on the open and close parentheses. Okay, now I have to go back. So delete this one, the letter 3, and type it in again. You can already see Emmet is going to produce this text. So boom, there we go. Okay, now let's change up the IDs. So this should be services, and the last one is contact. Then for the title here, now H2, we're going to have about me, then my services, and the last one is going to be contact me. Okay, pretty simple. So let's also start moving this in here. So I just cut out the about section and placed it underneath our H2. This is where the button and the CV is going to live. Then we're going to take the services and cut this one out and place it in here about the section. Then within here, we're going to place these 4 in. So underneath our H2 within the service section. Okay, so within our service section, we're going to have 4 different sections for developments, SEO, database, and data security. And then the last one is going to be contact. So we're going to place this above the contact section. Okay, now I do want to prepare all of this in order for you to have a general understanding on how I built this website. So within a main, there are different sections. This is a column again. The header is also a column. and the body is actually a row. And this is how I obtained, you can see it's already here. This is how I obtained this 2-column website using a different width for this part, so for the header, and then for the main section, which is on the right side, using a separate width. And then within the main, I'm creating again another grid system. This is actually a grid system, okay? And also the navigation, which is appearing only on a different, you can see how let's go to our website, on a different screen size, and also everything goes then down here. So using responsive design with which is integrated in Bootstrap is extremely powerful. You can see how easily we can create responsive and cool looking websites. But you do need to plan it out a bit. And this is why I'm doing this section, or this right here, before even touching about or services and so far and so on. Okay, so basically that's it for this video. See you in the next one, where we're going to create our about section. Now in this video, we're going to create our about section and also our resume here. So let's get started. First of all, let's go back to our site. And actually, this is the very first part that we're going to create this title, these 3 columns, and this text right here. And after that, we're going to create the button. And after that, we're going to create our off canvas. Okay, so let's go back to our code editor and right off the our comment of canvas. So I'm going to remain here because here is going to go is where the button is going to go. So we already have our title. Now, next up, let's create a div, actually a class of row with a column 12, because I want this to span all through the 12 column system. Then we're going to have a text of success, and we're going to have a margin from the top of 3. And that's it. Now within this div, we're going to create 3 columns. So I'm just going to create a class of call, multiplied by 3. And then within here, we're going to, well, type in the text. I'm not going to type everything in. Just going to copy in. We have 10 years of experience, 10 years. Our location is Berlin, let's say. And the domain of activity is going to be freelance. Okay, and we already should have, let's go back to our page. Should see here what's happening. There we go. You should see here the 3 columns that we just created. Okay, now let's go back and create a paragraph tag, and then we're done with the top. So this paragraph tag is also going to have a class of text secondary and a margin from the top of 3. Now I'm doing a text secondary, and let's also just type in lorem ipsum and hit save. And there we go. Now I'm using a text secondary in order to have the difference of contrast between this and this one. Okay. Now let's go for the button, and with the button is going to create it right after our paragraph tag. So let's go here underneath this comment. I was going to scroll up a bit, and let's create a button. What am I doing? Button, and let's get started. It's going to be a off canvas button, so I'm just going to first of all give it a couple of classes. So btn at outline and success. Now within our button, we're just going to have a CV, and then let's go right after the class and let's type in, it's going to be a type of button. You are going to have a data bootstrap toggle of off canvas. Then the target, so the data target, data bootstrap and target is going to be the ID. So I'm going to use hash of OC for off canvas and about. Okay, and all we need to do is also give the area of control, so controls, and all we need to do now is give it the area that it controls. So area controls, and it's going to control the off canvas about, and that's it. Okay, so we're done with our button. Now let's actually create our content for our off canvas. So I'm going to leave the button, let's copy this, and let's just leave here content. I'm going to copy this and let's just leave here. Now let me do something else. So this is going to be like this because we are in our about, and this is going to be CV content. Whoa. Okay, now let's go down here and create a container for off canvas. So it's going to be a class of off canvas. Then it's going to have another class of off canvas, and because we want to place our off canvas to start, just a second, let's go back to our page to start at the end. Okay, so off canvas and end. Then I'm going to give it a width of 75%. So as you saw, our off canvas didn't stretch across the entire scene. It stretches 75%. So no matter how large this gets, it still remains 75% from the screen. It's going to take up 75%. Okay, so let's do this by adding the 75, and also let's give it a BG dark for the background, and basically that's it. Now let's also give it a tab index -1, and then the ID, because we want to be able to target this off canvas about. Okay, and that should basically do it for off canvas. Now I don't think this already works. No, it doesn't. It still needs a couple of things. So let's add our head or header. I'm going to use a off canvas header class. Everything here is always going to have the title and the closing button. So let's use a F5, a text with a class of text mute. That's success. I'm going to type in here resume. And after this, we're going to have a closing button. So button with the type of close or type of button. Then let's add our classes of btn and dash close, and then a btn dash close and white, because we have a dark background. So we should have now, why isn't this working? And I think, oh, target, there we go. I was missing a T there. Okay, now this is working. So let's move on with our content. And right after our header, we're going to create now the body. So let's give it a class of canvas and body. Within here, we're going to have our, within here, we're going to have, let's see, we're going to have the name, description, about me, career, so far and so on. Okay. So let's start up with an H4, and I'm going to have this display as 4, and then a margin from the bottom, MB and free. Okay, within here we're going to have Norbert B. Enhart. Then we're going to have our occupation, so H4 again with the class of display 6 this time. We're going to have a smaller display and a margin from the bottom of 4, and then a text of white 50. And within here we're going to have full stack web developer. After that, we're going to have another H4. We're going to have a class of display 6 this time, and only a margin for the bottom of 2. Now I want this text to stand out a bit, so I'm going to use also a font monospace. Let's type in here about me. Okay, now we're done with this part. Now we need to add some text to it, so we need to add this text, and then we're going to do this title, then the explanation to it, and then we're going to move down to this part. This is going to be a bit more difficult, but don't worry about it. So let's add the text. It's going to be a paragraph tag with the class of text and white and 50. I'm going to have a lorem ipsum in here. Then we're going to have our next title of, let's see, of career objective. And so we'll see what we just done. So got about me. Now let's create a career objective. So right after the paragraph tag, we're going to have another h4. Again, the class of display 6 and 6. Then a margin from the bottom of 2, and again a font monospace. Okay, and this is going to be career objective. Right after our career objective, we can now create another text. I'm just going to copy this, paste it in here. Then another title, so I'm going to copy this title, paste it after a paragraph. I'm just going to replace the text with skills. But right after our skills, I'm going to use a small tag with the class of FS and 6, or 6 font size. And within here, I'm going to type in within parentheses and still growing. Okay, so we just got, let's see, we got this. Now we need to create progress bars here. Okay, so this is going to be just a couple of pairs with paragraph tags, then divs that are going to be placed in progress bars. So I'm going to create, what's the best way, the quickest way to do this? Let's just see. I'm going to create a paragraph tag, then the text white, 50, then some kind of text in there. I can add it later on. This is going to be succeeded, so plus sign of a div. So we can just type in here class of progress and another class of MB1. So I'm going to have a margin from the bottom of 1. And right after this, so this div is going to include another div of progress bar. The progress bar is going to have a background of success. We're also going to need stripes for the progress bar. So progress and bar and stripes. And then progress bar animated in order to have that animated effect. So progress bar and animated. Okay, now I'm going to multiply this. I'm going to hold down Shift and Control. This only works on a Mac. It's Shift, Alt, and Control, I believe, on a PC. And place this in a parenthesis, and then I'm going to multiply this. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. So times 5, and there we go. We should have our progress bars. Now the progress bars still need a role and a style of width, because till now they're just, well, they are progress bars, but they're just empty. So we're going to do this by right after the class. I'm going to click once, then Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC. I'm going to click through. Oh, damn it, I misclicked. So here, 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 and here. I believe I have all of them. Nope, one still missing. Now let's type in role, and it's going to have the role of progress bar. After our role, we're going to have a style, and just going to replace, you're just going to type in here width 90, but we are going to change it. So width and 95%. Okay, so let's hit save, and now we should get, yep, they all have 95%. Now let's move around and change them a bit. I wanted the third one, so let's see, 1, 2, 3. Was it the third one? I believe it was the third one. Yep, the third one. I want this one, so 1, 2, and 1. Wait, 1, 2, 3. So it should be 100% and should not be striped and not be animated. Okay, so this one is full. Let's see. Okay, this is working. Now next up, let's type in the titles for each progress bar. So we're going to have troubleshooting. Let's see, where's the paragraph tag? Up here. There's a very first paragraph tag. We're going to have here troubleshooting. Then the next one is going to be critical thinking. Then web design. Then developing and active learning. Okay, and you can mess around with this. Let's do this. 85%. Was this all? Yeah, I believe we're done. So let's check it out. Okay, they're all done. So we're done with our about section. Hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next one. In this video, we're going to create our service section. So let's close up the about section. I think we're up here, not the main, but the about, and boom, the section is closed. Now we can move into our services. Now, right from the get-go, we need to plan everything out. So we're going to actually have, just show you, going to have here a column-based system again. We're going to have 4 services. When we are on a small screen, then this is going to move to a 1-column system. And if we leave the small screen, we're going to have a 2-column system. So let's first of all create the system itself, so create the wrapper. And for this, we're going to create a div with a class of row, then row calls and 1, and row calls md of 2. So as soon as we leave this, everything is going to be in a 1-column system. Now within here, I'm going to copy in our services. And now for the services themselves, I'm going to create 4 columns. Okay, so we're going to create 4 divs which are going to be 4 cards. Now each of them are going to have a off canvas. So what I'm going to do in this video is just create the cards themselves. So let's first of all create a call class and then a card class, and also I'm going to have a BG transparent. This is going to include a card body, which is then going to include a icon tag, the BI and BI. The first one is going to be display. They're all going to have a H1. This is the class, okay? The H1 class has a font size and then a text muted. Success. After icon tag, we're going to have a H5 for the title. This is going to be the card title. This is also going to have a margin from the top of 3, and then a plus, because the next thing that we need is a paragraph tag with a text, with a class of card and text. Okay, you can always see what Emmet is going to spit out here. This is going to be a complete card. Okay, so let's hit, no, not hit enter. I want to have this 4 times. So shift command, arrow to the left, parenthesis, and times 4. And which should have gotten, what did I just, oh, plus. Sorry about that, times 4. And why didn't this work? Times 4. Oh, there we go. We got ourselves 4 cards. So if we take a look in our project, there we go. There are 4 cards. Now let's populate them with information. The very first card is going to have here in the H5, so for the title, development. Then I'm just going to copy in the text in the card text. Boom, there we go. The next card is going to be SEO, for that SEO, and then just a text. Then we're going to have database in the next F5, and the text in the paragraph tag. And we're missing one. Wait just a second. Oh, I just skipped one. Sorry about that. So this should be up here, and this should be in here. And our last one is going to be data security. data security, and let's also build a custom and there we go. Okay, we got our cards now populated. All we need to do after this are to include the buttons. Actually, I should have done this when I was using Emmet, because the buttons are in the card body themselves. So right after our paragraph tag, going to first of all hold down Option. Let's go to this paragraph tag, then this one, then this one, and this one, and that's it. And let's create a, let's hit enter, a button tag, and let's give it a class of BT. Let's just create a button tag first of all. So button. Let's go inside. Let's create a class of btn, then btn outline of success color, and I'm going to give the button the width of 100% of this of its container, so it's going to be spread throughout the entire width. Let's also give it the type of button, and as you can remember, these buttons target something. They target off canvases, so we're going to give it a data bootstrap toggle of canvas, then we need to give them the target, so data bootstrap target. Now this is a bit complicated because we need to give different target IDs, so I'm just going to type in here the ID of OC, and then we're going to replace each ID later on, where we're going to take care of each canvas. So the last thing that we need is a area controls, and then we're done. Area controls, and it's going to control a of C with the same name as the ID. Okay, so now for the title, we're going to type in here more. Actually, not for the title, but for the text. More, 3 dots, and hit save. And we should also have our buttons. Okay, they don't do anything right now because we still need to create our off canvas. But this is a thing for another video, because I'm going to take care of each of this off canvas in a separate video. So see you in the next one. In this video, we're going to create our off canvas for development. So let's go to our project, and first things first, go to the code editor. Now let's start commenting out each and every section, or adding in comments in order for us to know where each section starts. So this right up here, this card, is where the development section starts. So we're going to type in here development. Then the next is going to be SEO. So right where the card ends, or where the SEO card starts, type in a comment SEO. Then we have data. Just a second, I think I messed up here. There we go. Then we have database, and then we have data security. Okay, so we know where we're at. As always, I like to have everything commented nicely out, so there's no confusion even if someone takes my code. Also, you can see I do a lot of courses, so it needs to be explained as best as it can be explained. Okay, now let's go into our development section, and right after the button, we're going to create our off canvas. So we're going to say, let's copy this comment, and off canvas. So let's create our off canvas container, which is going to be in a div. So off canvas. Then it's going to have a off canvas end, because we want it to come in from the right side. Exactly as we did for the other off canvases, we're going to have a class for width 75. We don't want it to have the entire width of the page, or actually it normally does 25%. So we want to have it to 75. And then a BG and dark. Okay, let's hit enter. Now let's give it also the tab index of -1. And now for the important part, we need to give it the ID. Now, we started out with OC, and this is going to target the development section. So you can just type in here, let's see, let's do it underscore and dev. And that's it. Now, let's also include it up here. So I'm going to do this, and well, should be option. So this and this and dev. Okay, now this is targeting this off canvas. This button is targeting this off canvas. Next up, let's create our header. So let's go into our off canvas and let's say class off canvas and header. Now within here, we're going to have an h5 with the class of text and success. Let's type in here web development and then the closing button. So button, let's give it a type of button. And then for the classes, btn close, then btn close white, because we are in a dark background. Remember, we give it a dark background class. So close and white. And then we also need to give it the data bootstrap dismiss. And it's going to dismiss a off canvas. And that's it. Now we need a body. So right after the header, we're going to move outside the header and we're going to create a class of off canvas and body. Now within the body, we're going to have, let's just see if this works. Okay, we have off canvas, but if we go to our finished project, we can see we have 1, 2, 3 titles with 1, 2, 3 paragraph tags. Okay, now I can easily do this by using emit, but what I first want to do is copy this off canvas. So let's see, the off canvas starts the card. This is the card body. And we have here our off canvas. Now exactly this, accepting the ID, we are going to use it 4 times. So why type it out if we could just copy it? Okay, so I'm going to grab onto, actually I'm also going to grab onto my comment up here. So from here, grab onto the comment and then go down here and always after the button, okay? I'm going to paste it in and then change the ID. Okay, so we're going to start from the bottom. I'm going to change this. Let's just see, we have this ID and this should be, actually, you know what, I'm going to delete this, then select all 3 of them and add data security, so DS. Then let's go to the next one. Let's also change the title if you're here. So web development, there should be data security. Then let's move up to data. Wait, what? Oh yeah, let's also change the comment. So data security of canvas. Then the next one is going to be database. So let's change this and this to database. Now let's change the ID of the off canvas and the button. So here I'm going to delete the ID for the off canvas. Now select all 3 of them. Boom, boom. And 1 arrow to the right. And then this is DB. Let's hit enter. And let's hit save. And then the last one is going to be SEO. So let's copy this, paste it in here, paste it in here for the title, and let's change the IDs for the button and the canvas. So it's DB. Wait a second. There we go. So this, I'm going to select this, this, and this. 1 arrow to the right, and SEO. Okay, let's hit save and let's see if this works. So we are in our finished project and not in our finished, in our current project. So there's web development, SEO, database, and of course data security. So all 4 are working. Okay, we're not done with our data without web development. So let's now go back to our canvas and let's start inputting something in our body. So we're in our off canvas body, and within here, as I said, we have where is our finished project? We have 1, 2, 3 titles and 3 paragraph tags. So let's do this. We're going to start up with a parenthesis h4, because I'm going to multiply this 3 times. So h4 display 4, then margin bottom 3, then plus sign, paragraph tag, class text white 50, and multiply it by 3. Hit enter, and there we go. So let's go with option in the paragraph tags. Going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to create a lorem ipsum. Hit enter. Then let's move up to our titles and just going to copy in the first one. So this is going to be what is web development. I'm going to replace the text, but I just want to show you something so you won't be confused. Then the next one is going to be what is front-end web development, and then what is back-end web development. And obviously full stack is both of them. Okay, so we also need, let's start now from the bottom. If we take a look, let's just see if this works. Yep, there we go. We also need a couple of icons. Now these icons right here, you will not find in the Bootstrap icons. This is why we're going to need Font Awesome. So let's go to Font Awesome, and up here, as soon as you land on Font Awesome, you can click on icons or wherever you wish. You can start searching for things. So for example, HTML, I'm going to get the HTML tag. And there we go. As you can remember, oh, and very important, you need to have the CDN. Now you already should have it in your project linked up. Bootstrap icons. I didn't include it. Oh, well, perfect. We can include it right now. So let's go to Google and let's do a Font Awesome CDN link search. And there we go. Remember this one right here. Okay, let's click on copy. Let's go to our project. And I would paste it right above our stylings. So let's type in a comment. Font Awesome. And CDN. And let's paste it in here. Okay, now that we have this linked up, let's see if this works. Let's just copy our HTML5. Now actually, wait a second, we need down here because we're down in what is backend. Let's take the JavaScript. So let's go back. Let's search for JS. And there we go. Let's open this one up. Let's copy the link. Let's go down to database, data security, SEO, web development, and we are in what is backend. And right after our H4, we're going to copy in the icon tag. Let's hit save, and you will notice that, let's go to our project, more, and this is the icon tag. It's really small. Now, as I said, you cannot use the Bootstrap classes here in order to make it larger. So you need to use FA and 3 times or whatever size you wish to add. Okay, so if I do this, then the icon should be now larger. Obviously, you can make this even larger, 5, and you can see it's larger. Now I'm going to leave it at 3, but what I am going to do is give it a margin to the end of 3. So when I go to, let me just show you, if I paste in a couple of them, Okay, so they're going to have a margin to the end of 3, so there is space between the two icons, or between two consecutive icons. Okay, so this video is getting pretty long. I'm just going to paste in all of the icon tags, but I would suggest that you go ahead and search them all out in order for you to get comfortable with Font Awesome. Because as you can see, there are many icon tags that are missing in Bootstrap, and maybe they were added later on, maybe not, I don't know. So let's copy them in. We're going to have a PHP, Python, and Node.js. Okay, so there are our icons. Oh, I forgot to add a margin to the top of 2 to each paragraph tag. So let's do this quickly before I forget it again. So here, boom, and here. Because our text was there was no space between them. So I always like to have a bit more space between my paragraphs and my titles and so forth and so on. Now up here we need our front end languages. So let's also copy this one in. So right after our H4, oh, not here, here for front end. Okay, so this should also work. And up here, oh, let's also copy in the text. Up here is where it's going to get interesting. I included the icons within the text. So I'm going to copy this in, but I really, really wish that you would do this on your own. So this is just for exercise. So we're up here, what is web development? And you will see I have a couple of icon tags included within the text. So this is why this is looking as this. Okay, so there are our icon tags. Now remember, you can also change the color. So if you type some kind of color in there, you will get a different color. Let's do, for example, JS here. Let's see JS, and was it text? I believe it was text. And let's say not success, warning. Okay, and we should get a yellow. Boom. Now try this out for yourself, okay? And try adding the color. So this one should be orange. This one should be blue. So use here. Now it's kind of dumb, you don't have the colors, but you will see we will add colors later on in our last project when we're going to use sass, and we're going to add our own variable colors. So the last project is going to be extremely cool, but I don't want to mess up your head with too much information, so we're going to stop the video here and we're going to move on to the SEO part. Okay, so see you in the next one. All right, so in this video we're going to create our SEO section of the page. So let's get started. Let's first of all go back to our section. Okay, this is working, and this is also working. Okay, now let's go back to the code editor. First of all, I'm going to close up the canvas. So we don't need to see the canvas anymore. And actually, you close up the entire card. So the card of web development, we can now close it up. Only the card, okay? So if you want, you can close up the column actually. Now let's move on to the SEO. So let's check again. The ID is hooked up correctly. Yep. And yeah, everything is hooked up correctly. So let's just go into the body. And again, let's take a look at our finished project. We are going to have here 3 titles and 3, well, the lesson is not a paragraph tag, but we are going to have something in there. So let's first of all create our 3 titles. But first we're going to need this icon right here. So this is a loop, a searching glass or searching plane. So I'm going to use an icon tag with the class of FAB. Okay, so this is not a Bootstrap class, is a Font Awesome class. Then FA dash search chang. Okay, and I'm also going to increase this to FA 4x, and I'm going to give it a margin from the bottom of 4. Okay, so this should, actually let's go into our project. This should take care. Whoa, it's not in there. What did I spell wrong? Missing an N here. Let's try again, and whoa, still not correct. Okay, now it's working. So let's move back to our code editor. Right underneath our icon, I'm going to go I'm going to create h4. Actually, let me put this into a parenthesis. I know I'm going to multiply this times 3. So h4 with a class of display 4 and a class of mb 3. Now after that, we're going to, after h4, we're going to have a paragraph tag with a class of text white and also 50. And that's it, because I don't want to have, yeah, it's actually it. So let's multiply this times 3, but I'm going to delete from the last one. I'm going to actually delete, no, you know what? Yes, actually do it. Let's do it this way. So times 3, there we go. I'm going to delete, not delete, but replace the last paragraph tag with a unordered list. Okay, boom. Let's save this, and now let's create in our unordered list. I'm not going to give it the list on style class. I want this to have the style, but I'm also going to create, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 link tags. Now let's populate everything that we've done. So first of all, we're going to go up here to our h4, very first h4, which is going to be what is SEO, question mark, and just going to type or copy in the text. Obviously, you're not going to learn here how to type, but how to create Bootstrap classes. So I'm just going to copy this in. Then our next one will be, do you need an SEO expert? And actually, if you don't know SEO, and you should put it on your list. The SEO is extremely important for a web developer to know, because boom, we have this one in, because, well, web crawlers do crawl your websites, and the website should be SEO friendly. And now let's type in here our SEO services. Okay, and the rest of them I'm just going to copy in, and boom, there we go. So let's take a look at what you just created, and there it is. We have our icon tag up here, we have our 3 titles, and we have text for it. So that's basically it for this part. Next up, let's do our database. So we're going to do this in the next video. Okay, now in this video, we're going to create our database services or service. So let's close this one up, and no, actually, let's take a look. We have 1 title, 2 title, 3 titles, 2 paragraph tags, and 1 unordered list. But this time we're going to use almost only Emmet. So I'm going to show you a little trick how you can create all of this by writing one single line of code. Obviously, you need to already know to have a broad concept of what you want to create. But believe me, this comes with training. So let's close this one up. Let's go to our site. This is empty, and now let's go to the code. Now let's first of all close up SEO. Boom, we don't need you anymore. And we can actually close up the entire thing. Let's go to database. Don't want to see the body. Yes, I do want to see the body. What am I doing? I don't want to see the button, and I want to see this right here. Actually, I want to see the button. Wait. Yep, this is correct. And also this is working. So let's go into the off-canvas body. So as you saw last time, we had an icon tag. Again, I'm going to create an icon tag, and then I'm going to create the entire content. So let's create one icon tag, class of FAS, class of FA database, then FA 4 times for the size, the margin bottom of 4 plus h4 with the class of display 4. Okay, we want the display to have the height of 4 as we did with all of our titles. So we're going to maintain the same display. Then a margin bottom of 3. And let me just think about this. And we're going to wrap. Hoppa, I'm missing here something, but we're going to wrap here this h4. Only typed in an h. Sorry about that. So h4. Then I'm going to do plus. No, this is actually going to include. Yeah, this is how I'm going to do it. So this is going to include a paragraph tag, the class of text white 50. I'm going to multiply this 2 times. Remember, we had here, just go here, we had here 1h2, 1h4, 1h4, 2 paragraph tags, but here we had an h4 and an unordered list. So we can do something like, let's go back to the code editor, plus another h4 with the class of display. Can't see anything. Come on, Emmett. Display 4. Actually, I can see it in the Emmet, which is going to include a, wait, this is not it. Display 4 and the margin bottom of 3. Then we're going to have included within here a paragraph, a unordered list with the class of text white and 50, which is going to include again li, this being the list items, and we're going to have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so times 8. And now if I hit enter, let's see what happens. Boom, we got the icon tag, we got our h2 up here. What, this is not right. Okay, so I messed this part up, sorry about that. I'm just going to cut this out and place it in here as a text. This is extremely easy to mess up this kind of Emmet things. Boom, put this one in here, and the rest is okay. So pretty quick, isn't it? Okay, now let's also, this should be preceded. I messed up. Okay, so this should be here. I should have done a plus sign. Okay, preceded, preceded, preceded. So plus is preceded. Greater than is included. Yeah, I messed up a bit. Sorry about that. So let's put in our text. I just wanted to show you that it is possible, but I didn't want to show you that it's possible to mess up. Also, it is possible to mess up, but you get the idea. So let's include the next text in the paragraph tag. And remember, you already have this as a finished project. So you can either copy it in or just type in here lorem ipsum and copy it in later on. But you will replace this eventually when you're going to create your own website. So as I said, we're not learning to type here, but I do want to have some kind of relevant content in here. And then the text again, and then the last title, which is, oh, again, we have to cut out my UL. I'm so sorry that I messed this up. It was actually so easy, but I messed up the greater than with plus signs. Don't know why I did that, but hey, mistakes happen. Okay, and let's replace the LIs, and we should have our database up and going. Good. Okay, so that's basically it for this video. Again, sorry that I messed up. Sorry for 1,000 times sorry. Actually, I should really quickly. I'm going to quickly do a Control Z. No, I'm going to do it down here again. So let's see, where did this close? Right after icon tag. Okay, I'm going to do it exactly what I did before this, but this time is going to be right. So icon tag, FAS, then FA database, then FA-4. I still want you to have this, how exactly I should have done it. Then MB4, this one is going to be preceded, so plus, by H4, and this is where I made the mistake, so plus, in the parentheses, we're going to have an H4, which is going to be with a class of display 4 and a class of MB3. Is going to have some kind of text in there. We're going to add that later on. Now this one is going to be preceded, so this is where I messed up, by a paragraph tag with a text white and 50. going to multiply this times 2, and this is going to be preceded by h4 with the class of display dash 4 mb free, and again preceded by a paragraph tag with another paragraph tag with a ul, which is going to include li's times 7. Okay, now let's hit enter, and there we go. Okay, so we got our icon tag, we got our h4s preceded, 2 h4s preceded by 2 paragraph tags, and 1 h4 preceded by a ul. So you see, it's extremely easy. I just messed up a bit. Okay, so that's it for this video, and see you in the next one. In this video, we're going to do our last service, which is data security. Again, we're going to have here 2 titles, 2 paragraph tags, 1 title, and this are drop downs. So fun times ahead. Okay, let's go to our code, our website, and let's go back to the code editor. Now I already closed up database, and after database we have data security. Now let's go down in the canvas section. Let's go down into the body. So let's start up with our icon tag, FAS, FA, shield, and alt, then a FA 4 times for the class, and a margin bottom 4, preceded by, open and close parentheses, h4 times, oh not times, a class of display 4, and another class of mb free, so margin bottom 3. This is going to be preceded by paragraph tag with the class of text and white and 50. And we're going to multiply this times 2. After that, we're going to have preceded by h4 again with the class of display dash 2, dash 4, mb dash 3, margin bottom 3, which is going to be preceded by unordered list, this time with a class of list unstyled, and it's going to include 4 list items with the class of mb2, and I'm going to stop here. So going to multiply this times 2, wait, why, oh sorry, times 4, and there we go. This is what Emmet will going to give us, because from this point on then I'm going to work in the li. So let's hit enter, and there we go. This is okay, this is okay, this is okay. So let's start include our content. So what is data security is in here. So very first title, then we're going to have a paragraph. After that we're going to have a h4, so the next title is going to be what are data security standards, and these are the standards, the paragraph tag, and the last one is our offer. Okay, so this is where it's going to get interesting. Each list item is going to have a button. So I'm going to do one and then copy and paste it, because it's actually the same button, just has different text in it. Okay, so first of all, button tag. Now let's go into the button tag, give it the type of button. We're going to give it the class of btn, then btn outline. You saw we had that outline effect, and success. Now these buttons are collapses, so we need the data bootstrap toggle. I'm going to toggle a collapse. The very first one is going to target a data bootstrap target ID of category 1 -1. The area expanded was going to be false. So area expanded is going to be set as false. Sorry about that. And it's going to control the area controls is going to control, well, this ID. Okay, so the category 1 ID. This button is only going to control this. As you can remember, we can control multiple categories with multiple drop-down, multiple collapses with just one button. So not going to do that. Each button is going to control only one. Okay, and also I'm going to type in for the text category 1 and 1. Okay, so we should get our very first button. Wait, there's a button. Mess something up. In the button, there's a thing. Missing a T here. Outline. Okay, there's a button. There's a category. Now for the collapse itself, we need some kind of content. So we're going to go underneath our button. We're going to create the class of collapse. And it's also going to have the ID of the category 1. Because this is going to target only this one. Now, this is going to include a div. It's actually going to be the content of the category, which is going to actually just a class of card, then card body, and we're going to give it a dark background, so BG dark. And because the dark background is dark, we're going to change the text to a white and 50. Okay, and within here, just going to include some text. Again, you can just type in Lorem Ipsum. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have this part done. Now let's see if this is working. So database, data security, more, category, and there we go. There's our drop down. Now we obviously need the rest of the buttons, so let's do this. I'm going to close this one up. Oh, let's leave it open. But I'm just going to copy the button and the drop down, the collapse itself. So button and the collapse. I'm going to paste it in the next icon tag. All we need to do is change the ID here, change it here, change the title, and obviously you can change also the text. And this should already work. Okay, we have the second category, first one, second one. Okay, and they only target one of the collapses. So I'm going to do the next two very quickly, and then we're actually done. So button, as you know what, I'm going to copy it in for my finished text because all I need to do is change the categories and copy in the text. But you got the principle, so it's basically the same thing. You create the button, you create the collapse, you give it the right ID, and so far and so on. So nothing to it. Okay, so we should have our 4 categories. And there we go. We are done with this service. I think it's a pretty cool project, isn't it? One simple landing page which does so much. Okay, so let's move on to our context section and then to the footer, and then we're done with this project. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye. In this video, we're going to create the context section of the page. So let's quickly think about it. We have a section. We already did this. We have here the company name, and then we have 4 elements. Now, obviously, we could use here list, and we could use here some kind of title. Now, these are also in rows, so let's first of all start by closing the, you know what? We need to close the entire section. We need to close the entire services section. Boom. And also the entire main section. No, not the main. Sorry about that. We're still in the context section. This is still is the main section. Okay, now right underneath our H2, we're going to create a unordered list. This list, as you saw, is going to have columns. So we need to give it the class of row. Now I don't want the list to have any kind of style, so we're going to use the list unstyled class. And now comes a little trick. I want the text on a small screen to be at the start, but the rest should be center. actually this is exactly opposite. I want the text to be accepting a small screen to be at the start, and everything else should be in the center. Okay, now let's create here a couple of list items, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So li. Now we're using a column system, so the very first one is actually just going to have a text of success, and that's it. And after this one, I'm going to create a list item. Actually, I'm going to create 4 list items, but this time they are going to be in column 6. So they're going to take up 6 out of 12. This means that we can have on one row 2 columns. So we're going to give it the class of col6 and padding 2, all around padding. Now this is also going to include a icon tag with the class of Bootstrap icons. We're going to use Bootstrap icons again. And let's just leave it this way. I'm going to replace, I'm going to type in the real icons later on, but we also need a text of success. Okay, and let's now wrap this into a parenthesis and multiply it by 4. Okay, so we just got our 4 icon tags, list items which include the 4 icon tags. Now the very first icon is going to be a geo alt. So let's also see what we just done here. Let's go to our web page. There we go, there's our geo alt. The next icon is going to be a telephone, then a phone, and then a envelope. Okay, so we should get our 4 icons. Now also you can see how this is in one column, second column, third column, fourth column. So this is the 6 out of 12, and now we got 2 rows. But up here we should have our title, not a title but another list item, which was Menhart Media LLT. Okay, now the rest of the text I'm just going to copy in. We need after icon a space and then just 2 spaces. The street, so the address actually, just the city. Well, I have city in here. City. Then we have a phone number. It's just a generic phone number. Please do not call this phone number. Nobody will answer. Then another phone number. Know what this number is. Please don't call it. And joe@mail. Hopefully there's no such email address. Okay, so this is just bogus text. And there we go. There's our, hey, you should be green. Why aren't you green? You, sir, are missing an S. It's safe. And he's green. Yay. Okay, all we're missing now is the footer, and then we're done. So, see you in the next video. Okay, welcome to the very last video of this project, in which we're going to create just this. We're simple footer, but we're also going to check the responsiveness and go through a couple of things. So let's get started. Let's go in our code editor. Now we're done. This time we're really done with our main section. We can close it completely up. There's our main section. And now we can create our footer. So let's create our footer tag. This is going to have a position fixed as a class. So we want the footer to be positioned down in the very bottom of the page. So we're going to use bottom and 0. Okay. Now let's also give it a class of pg success and a text center. Okay, within here we're going to have a small tag. The small tag is going to have a class of 1 column. Within our small tag we're going to have that ampersand for the copyright. So actually the copyright sign. So we're going to use ampersand, copy, and semicolon. Come on, copy, semicolon. There we go. This should create that copyright sign right there. And then we're going to type in whatever we wish to type in here. I'm going to use Menhart Media 2020 and media and all rights reserved. And that's basically it. Okay. So the text is centered, but what I wish to actually show you in this video is the responsiveness. Now, you do remember that in the footers, in the context section, we placed our text as center when it's in a small screen, and accepting a small screen, it's always going to be on the left side, so at the start. So let's see what this did. Now I'm going to move along here, and we're going to move down to a smaller screen. Let's see something like this. Now you see how everything is now centered, but accepting this viewport is going to go back to start. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to use this a couple of times, because the not next video, but the next project, because we want to make our site completely. This is bogus here. I didn't want to include it here. So this should be center. I didn't like the look of it in this case, but in the next project, it's going to make totally sense. So let's check out our project here, our finished project. We have everything working, services working, and we have a contact section working. Now let's go through our resume. This is working. These are still working. Let's close it up. Let's also open up our services section. Let's open up our SEO database. Again, this is completely responsive. Now we can go down to data security. Let's see if this works. Yep. Category 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, completely responsive. And we're completely done. Now, I hope you enjoyed this project. I think this is a really cool project. I hope it's going to be useful for you. So with this being said, see you in the next project. Bye-bye.